system are you thinking hospital? Is RAM a four-legged mountain sheep? And bits and bytes happen around the dinner table? If so, well then you are in the wrong place, because this is Tech Talk Colorado with Tom and Rena Clark.
Yay! Welcome back, everyone. This is Rena and Tom Clark with Tech Talk Colorado, sponsored by Elk Creek Computers. And I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday with lots of things going on. And, of course, as always, everybody eats a little more than they plan to. So guess what? Everybody's starting their diet in January.
Yeah, and I always loved Garfield's quote, "Diet is die with a T."
Yes, and I think that's what... and that's what everyone's doing right now.
That's what everyone's thinking. I got to suffer through another diet. Yeah, but we're not going to talk about diets today.
No, we're not at all. So, but anyway, we have some interesting information, and I think there's a lot of speculation on some of it too as to what's going on, how to approach this problem, and it's because there was critical flaws in the meltdown of Spectre and what's going on there.
I state it quite that way.
Well,
there's actually two
train of thoughts on that one.
No, there's two security vulnerabilities that was exposed in the late December.
Okay.
And one is called Meltdown, and the other is called Spectre.
Okay.
So that is that.
And you know what? I like to put the two of them together because it's still all the same to me.
Well, yeah, it is kind of the same. It's funny because they're kind of the same thing, but they're different.
Right.
And but then again, I'm going to back up a little bit. So if you guys want to listen to us live, rebroadcast, you can go to ibnetwork.us, and of course, we have our Facebook page where you can leave comments. And you can go to techtalkcolorado.com and leave comments there. And we put links to the audio for these shows on that site. So from time to time, I don't do it every week, but they get up there, and then you can go and listen to previous shows. So now, hopefully you'll listen to some of those previous shows.
And, we talk about a lot of security that has been happening this last, I'm going to say 2017, but here we are going into 2018, and kaboom, there's another great big thing going on. So,
oh yeah, and this one is a big one. Mm-hmm. Although currently there's no known vulnerabilities in the wild that are using these techniques, but I guess it's only a matter of time. But it has to be, I think, it has to be pretty clever. So let me talk about the first one. I'm going to talk about Meltdown first. A lot of this comes from the optimizations that they put in the operating systems and they put in the processors to make them faster. So in Meltdown, what they do is this gets a little complicated. So I have to put on my geek hat a little bit and see if I can translate this into English.
And I might interject and say, well, does this mean blah, blah, blah? Because that's what I do.
Yeah. So when you access memory, so when a program needs to get a piece of data or the next instruction for the program and bring it into the processor and execute it, it goes into memory. Mm-hmm. And then it will and then it'll go and it executes in the processor. Well, the processors have gotten so fast, so quickly. Mm-hmm. You don't think so, but in 1985, a processor would be running at megahertz, like 1 or 2 or 3 megahertz, and that was considered like really fast. Today, they're like 1,000 times faster or more. They're actually getting above 4 gigahertz internal clock speed in these processors. So it's a huge, huge increase in processor speed. Mm-hmm. Memory just hasn't kept up. So its memory is still relatively slow and doesn't catch up very fast. It's not catching up very quickly. The technology just doesn't allow it to pull that memory and bring it into the processor fast enough for the processor to use it. So they put in the processor, they look at what's being executed and what might be executed next, and they prefetch it, pull it into the processor into what they call a cache. So the cache holds it. Then the processor will go and actually pull in the cache to pull the next instruction set or the next piece of data. And that allows the processor to run a lot faster.
That's kind of like a kid that goes into hyperdrive and they lose their brain a little bit and they have a major meltdown because they can't handle it.
I don't know if that's, it's funny, but I'm not sure that explains it. So now we know what's going on. So the processor in most cases will actually execute out of the cache instead of executing out of memory. Now, in order to keep things secure and to prevent programs, I'm going to say malware from actually going in and taking over a program, they use this address randomization process. So when a program asks for a piece of memory from a specific location, there's actually 3 tables that it goes through to go and actually find the real physical memory in the in the memory. So it goes through this table 3 times, and that kind of disguises so you can't actually directly access that memory and change the value. So let's say a program is a malicious program and it wants to take over your print driver. So every time you print, it actually, like prints porn or something. Okay, just to be ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, that is ridiculous.
So what it would do if there wasn't this address space randomization, it would go in and it would change some of the code in the print driver to say, instead of printing what I sent you, I want you to print this, right? And you would print, and you're thinking you're printing one thing, and then you get
something else,
some disgusting stuff, and that's that's malicious, but that's not stealing data.
Okay.
So you can get even worse. You can rewrite the keyboard driver so that it takes all your keystrokes. You can rewrite the network driver so that it not only sends your encrypted data to the website, but it also sends unencrypted data to the bad guys and things. You can do some pretty nasty stuff if you can get in there to into the driver level and change it. And then the third thing is there's different levels of execution. So they call them rings, and the ring 0 is like the lowest level where all the drivers run, and then there's a user, then there's an operating system level, and then there's a user level, application level, and application level in theory should never be able to directly access memory that are in the 2 lower levels. So that way an application can't run wild and and trash the operating system and or run wild and trash a driver. Now what's going on is because they cache all of this information in it, and they actually mix the cache, so they cache both the operating system, the ring 0, and the user applications in the same caching area. You can actually get in there and using tricky ways, you can get in there and you can kind of guess what the actual, you can guess what the table entry is at your level to get into the drivers. And so that means that you can potentially create programs that can rewrite your drivers and, temporarily rewrite your drivers to have them do things that you don't want them to do. And or load programs that you don't want loaded, do things in the background that are not logged, etc. So that's what meltdown is. Now,
sounds like a kid meltdown to me, because that's the way they operate.
Well, yeah, they like to get in trouble and they do things when they're not supposed to.
Yep.
But they're not malicious about it normally. They're just explorative. And so that's what meltdown is. And it's a very serious, but the problem is it's actually has always been there in the processor since they started to optimize them. So pretty much every processor made by Intel for the last 22 years has this problem in it. And so you're not going to fix it, or it's going to be really hard to fix.
Okay.
You might see it in new processors as they come out where there's an actual fix to this. But the only way you can fix it now is to change the BIOS in the system and or change the operating system and patch it. So
That sounds like that would be kind of a painful thing to go through.
That would be a painful thing to go through, yes. And the things that they're going to be doing will actually be to not cache as much and to split the caches. And so when the operating system is running or drivers are running, they're actually going to flush out see, I've got this backwards. So anytime a user application comes in, they're going to flush out all this cache information that the operating system has stored. So when you go back to the operating system, it's going to have to reload from memory. And like I said, memory is slower than cache.
Cache can be slow coming in too.
So it's like, this is the same thing. I've explained this before in a different way. So when people talk about why is my system slow when I run out of RAM, it's the same thing. So the cache on this processor is 1 as a value. Okay. Memory is 1/10. And hard disk is 1/100th as far as speed goes. And so the further we get away from the processor, the slower it gets. So every time it has to go pull out of RAM, it's going to slow things down. And I think we're close to a break here.
I think we have about 30 seconds.
Okay. So that is the problem.
Okay.
That's meltdown.
Okay.
And when we come back from break, I'm going to talk about Spectre, which is kind of the same, but it's different.
Kind of the same, but different. So don't go away.
Rena, how is a car like a computer?
I don't know. How?
If you don't do routine maintenance, they get gooped up and fail early. By performing routine maintenance, your system performance will be improved, keep it secure, and find issues while they were small.
Well, Elk Creek Computers will perform routine maintenance on your computers for $99 per system. Call us at 719-576-4122 to schedule an appointment today.
It gives clarity to problem solving. It increases production and focus on the job. It alleviates sleepless and restless nights and fends off stress and tension headaches. No, it's not the latest energy drink or health supplement. It's Legal Shield. Get peace of mind every day, every night, now and forever. Legal Shield. Get it.
To find out more about Legal Shield and how it can protect your family and your business, call Andrea at area code 719-243-3174. That's area code 719-243-3174. Legal Shield. Click the Tune In Follow tab and have instant access to your favorite IB programming. IB is your internet broadcasting network.
Welcome back to Tech Talk Colorado with Tom and Rena Clark, sponsored by Elk Creek Computers. And we welcome you back. And if you're just now joining us, you missed the first part of the show about critical flaws and the meltdown that's taking place, which is what it's called, meltdown. But we're also going to be talking about Spectre and what's going on with that, too. Yep. So you're going to want to go back and listen to the ibnetwork.us and pick up the show there. But you can also get it on SoundCloud. Or you can go to techtalkcolorado.com. We have our download the shows there, too. And also, we would love it if you would go on to our Facebook page at techtalkcolorado.com. Like our page, share it with others, and let them know about, the information that we are always putting out there for others when it comes to security issues and technology and the latest and greatest things that are coming down the pipe. So, Tom, tell us more about what's going on with this meltdown.
Okay. See here. So meltdown, because we're going to be, so the way I'm going to say, the way they're going to be fixing meltdown probably is they're going to be clearing the cache, and that's going to have performance
issues with that.
Yeah, there's going to be performance issues, possibly. It's going to reduce performance. They're speculating, depending on usage, anywhere from 5 to 30% slowdown in your computer. And I think if you have an older processor or an older operating system, it'll never get fixed. So if you're not on Windows 7, 8, or 10, and you'll not get a fix.
You'll be getting the hammer out to obliterate the computer that you're using.
Yeah, you just have to be aware. You have to be aware that that's a potential issue, and you be careful. And of course, that's Windows. Linux is also affected because this is a chip issue, not a software issue. There's going to be updates to BIOS, and those, whether the manufacturer actually gets you, how quickly and if they actually give you a fix that's in the BIOS remains to be seen. So if you have an older system, chances are you'll never see a fix. If your system's only 2 or 3 years old, now might be a good time to update the BIOS once they get the new BIOSes in place. But those would come all the BIOSes for, if you have an HP computer, you actually have to go to HP to get that BIOS update. You can't. There's no generic place for it. If you have a if you have a Dell computer, whatever, Asus, Acer, Lenovo, Toshiba, pretty much all of them, you have to go to their website. And some of them are pretty easy. Dell, you have to go and download the patch. Lenovo has an installer, et cetera. So,
and if you're not up to
HP is problematic because HP is now HP and then HP Enterprise, so they call it HP and HPE, and they're both under kind of different management, and they both have different processes. And if you're HP Enterprise and you're not on a maintenance program, you won't be able to get it. So there's all these little issues.
Oh, okay.
If you're in IT and you have to update all these computers, I really feel for you.
And I think, as an individual person that really doesn't understand about updating their BIOS, you really need to have your IT company do it for you.
Yeah, that one is a tricky one, and if you mess it up, you kind of brick your computer.
Yeah. So, you need to call a company like Elk Creek Computers, and our number is 719-576-4122, and, we could surely help you with getting that BIOS updated.
Yep. Okay, now we're going to talk about Spectre. It's related but different.
Okay.
And it's not just Intel. So I have to go back to Meltdown for a second. Only Intel processors are affected by Meltdown. AMD processors, they don't do the same thing. They don't manage memory quite the same way. And so it's not affected by the flaw Meltdown. However, the Spectre is basically all processors are affected by this. This has to do with something called speculative that's a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is a tongue twister.
Speculative execution of code.
Okay.
Right? So this is another one where they're trying to optimize the processor to run as fast as possible and to prefetch things from memory so it doesn't have to wait for RAM to present the data to the processor. So it's, in some ways it's executing out of cache, and that's why it's similar to Meltdown, but it's in a different area. So Meltdown will allow a program to actually access memory of ring 0 programs, whereas Spectre, it's similar where it will allow it, but it uses a different method. So it actually looks at it can look at how other programs are executing, even though it can't see it, and just look at the time and can use that to kind of figure out where things are in memory. It's the math is probably a little bit beyond me, but I mean that's the idea with Spectre. So it uses the speculative of execution. The processor will actually pull in what it thinks is going to be next, so that it's sitting there waiting to be executed if that's where it goes. And it also caches that. The problem, in this one, the problem is kind of similar because it kind of mixes the cache. Well, actually, it can figure out where things are in memory based on the length of, like, the time it takes to execute. So if it's executing very quickly, then it knows it's in the cache. If it executes a little slower, then it knows that it has to go to RAM. And it can use that information to kind of determine where to start poking to be able to execute at the same level. You're executing at the driver level, or you're changing the execution of a program that's running adjacent to you. So what they're looking at, this is another one where they're going to have to clear the cache. So anytime that they're going to say user mode program comes in and executes, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to clear the cache of everything that's the everything from the ring 0, ring 1 processes. And that will slow down once it goes back. Operating system goes back to doing things in the kernel, then that'll slow things down.
Okay.
So.
Boy, this is a really technical topic that you're covering
This
today.
is a very top.
And I am understanding what it is that's going on there, but I can't imagine having to deal with a problem like this and making it right so that people aren't having those critical flaws going on. So, this is now we get into kind of what should you do. And get a new system.
Well, the problem is it'll still have the problem until they actually fix it.
Okay.
And some of these,
that could take a while to get that righted.
So this is another one where updates are your friend.
Okay.
For instance, there is a patch in Windows 7 for Intel processors. If you're an AMD processor, do not install it quite yet. But if you're an Intel processor, there is a patch that you can install that will that'll mitigate some of this. But it could give you a slowdown in execution on your computer, just to be warned.
Okay.
So that's the first thing that you should do, is make sure that your operating system, no matter what version it is has the latest patch levels on it. With the exception of Windows and AMD, Microsoft created a patch for the Intel, but it's causing blue screen of death for AMD processors, or some AMD processors.
Okay.
And in fact, it was Monday. Actually, I had to fix it on Tuesday because it didn't call till late. Where a computer that had an AMD processor was, excuse me,
bless you,
was updated, and it wouldn't boot. And so I had to actually use System Restore to take it back to a previous version. So you're already seeing these problems arise out of this. And I think Microsoft has said, oops. And so they're preventing the patch from being downloaded to AMD processors. So they changed the patching method on it. So that's the first thing that you need to do. What a scary thing to have happen. And then and of course, IT people that run server farms and things like that, they need to look at this too. The other thing is Spectre is actually being fixed in some of the applications. So, for instance, they're making changes to the way the browsers operate and the rendering engines in the browsers operate to help start clearing these caches and prevent this kind of attack on systems. So when you're on the web and you go to a website, you're not going to download some JavaScript that's going to cause this problem. Right. So make sure that you have the latest version of whatever browser, whether it be Chrome or Firefox, Internet Explorer, or Edge, which is going to be updated by Microsoft and Windows. Okay.
Does that mean you need to look at my system that I use for our business, Tom?
Now, if you're on automatic updates, it should have already updated.
Okay.
So,
well, what about this KPTI Intel chip flaws that expose security risks? And I know that this is part of it.
This is the same thing. It's just a different, a different name for it.
Yeah, and you're going to be hearing about this. The Spectre and the meltdown and the KPTI. Intel chip. It's kind of all interconnected, and just be aware that this is what's going on right now.
And of course, the first advice is don't panic, because there's no known vulnerabilities yet. Mm-hmm. So this is something that you need to patch to prevent. But now that it's been exposed, you know that there's some hacker out there working on trying to use this vulnerability to be able to attack your system.
So how is a person to protect their computers from what's going on?
Well, first thing is like I say, make sure that you update your operating systems. Mm-hmm. If you have a newer computer, check regularly to see if there's a BIOS update that'll help mitigate this particular issue. And then make sure that you have the latest browsers instant. So make sure you update your Firefox, update Chrome, update. Make sure you have the latest patches for Windows and Edge and Internet Explorer.
Right, and with that, for those that are not real sure about how to do that, you need to call someone like us at Tech Talk at Elk Creek Computers, and our number is 719-576-4122. And with that, we need to go to a break. So don't go away, because you're going to want to listen to the rest of this.
Yeah.
You're listening to Tech Talk Colorado on the IB Network, sponsored by Elk Creek Computers. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Delete. 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 Delete.
Have you received an email response from our new client yet?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm having to deal with all this spam in my inbox, and it's becoming very frustrating.
Have you tried adding them to your block senders list?
Yes, but they keep coming back with a different email address, and it's driving me crazy.
I've heard that the experts over at Elk Creek Computers have an excellent spam filtering service that can significantly decrease the amount of spam emails we receive. I think we should give them a call and enroll today.
If you're dealing with spam overload, it might be time to call Elk Creek Computers for their very affordable spam filtering solution. Knowledgeable, trustworthy, and ready to serve, Elk Creek Computers. 719-576-4122. That's 576-4122.
This week, my name is Harley Mitchell. Next week, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll use your name. You see, I'm a cyber criminal, and I steal information that defines who you are. Things like your driver's license number, your birth date, your home address, your office address, your social security number, your medical information, insurance cards, business licenses, and if I can get it, your birth certificate. If I can get one, I can get the rest. It's not personal. It's just business. Once I have your information, I bundle it with others and I sell it. Not just once, but over and over and over and over and over.
Due to recent massive data breaches, your personal information is now available for cyber criminals like Harley to buy and sell to their underworld counterparts for profit. Bad people with bad intentions hiding behind your identity. Don't be fooled and lock down your financial life. Use the professionals that Fortune 500 companies use, ID Shield and Legal Shield. It costs less and reaches further. Don't lock down your life. Call Andrea Wacker and get the right protection for the right problem. Andrea Wacker is your Lady of Justice. Call now at 719-243-3174. That's 719-243-3174. This is the Internet Broadcasting Network, at ibnetwork.us.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Rena and Tom Clark with Tech Talk Colorado, sponsored by Elk Creek Computers. And we've been talking about a pretty heavy security issue that has turned up here in, the last month that it's really become known.
Yep.
And, talking about the critical flaws and meltdown is the topic. And also you hear Spectre. And also there's the KPTI Intel chip. This is all part of the same thing that's really going on. And you're going to want to go back and listen to the topic because we're just going to kind of wrap that up here real soon. But the way to do that is to go to the ibnetwork.us, or you can go to our www.techtalkcolorado.com website, or you can go to SoundCloud and look for that broadcasting about this particular topic. But, talking about how to protect yourself from what's going on here, I've heard from someone recently that says, well, you need to get rid of that Intel chip because it's exposing it is where the security risk is. Now, that I don't think is going to be a possibility of doing that because the problem that is ensued with it, it's not a quick fix.
No, it's not a quick fix.
But there are ways of getting around it.
Yes. Like I say, Intel is Intel, Microsoft, Google, the Mozilla Foundation, and Apple. And of course, this is the Apple problem, too. Apple hasn't actually talked about how they're going to patch it, but I'm sure they're working feverishly on it.
And it may be tomorrow we hear something in the news about, what Apple is doing with it.
So I'm going to repeat what I said in the previous segment. Make sure your operating system is updated. Make sure your browsers are updated. Look for BIOS patches on for your particular machine. If you have a newer machine, there's also firmware inside of the CPU that can be updated. And so if you get a patch for that, you need to apply that. Those two patches are directly affected by, connected to the hardware. If they're done incorrectly, for instance, let's say you're trying to do a BIOS update and you lose power in the middle of it, you can actually brick your system at that point. You can't really change the chip. You can't go, like if you have an computer with an Intel processor, you can't put an AMD chip in.
Because you're just putting back the same problem.
No, because the chip won't fit.
Oh, okay. That would be a big problem.
You can't plug it into the motherboard because the whole you basically have to replace the entire computer.
So that the motherboard is built around that chip.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
And so if you can't change the chip and put an AMD chip in it. Okay. First of all, it won't fit in the socket. Okay. And second of all, if you could figure out how to wedge it in, you would probably blow up the motherboard and the chip, that'd be a lot of money down the tubes.
Yep. So, and with all those things that you were just saying, this isn't something for the average homegrown, I can repair my computer kind of technology to get out there and just, handle all that themselves. They really need to contact somebody like Elk Creek Computers.
Yes.
And
especially if you're playing with the BIOS. If you've never updated a BIOS, have somebody who's done it before do it. Because they will know the correct procedure to do it.
Right.
In some ways, depending on how it's presented, it's as easy as running an executable. And 99.9% of the time it works. But you also need to make sure your computer is connected to an uninterruptible power supply so that it's not turning off and halfway through the process.
And would you recommend that the person that's doing this take all those files and do a backup of the system? So if something were to fail, they would have their folders and information that they need.
It's probably a good idea to save off any data. I'm going to say because it's a hardware issue down in the BIOS, it's not going to trash the hard drive even if it goes wrong, but you just won't be able to access the data without pulling the hard drive out of the system. Right? So the data would still be on the hard drive, but you'd have to have a tech come in and pull the hard drive and mount it on a different system and copy the data across that you wanted.
So all things will not be lost then?
Yeah. All things won't be lost, but if things go squirrely, then you're calling the tech.
Okay. So call a tech.
Yeah.
Don't try to do it yourself.
Yeah. So, but the operating system updates and the browser updates, those are things that you should be doing regularly anyways. And some of them are automatic if you select the right thing. So, you might not even, it'll just patch. Apple is very good at that. They'll just patch the system. Windows, with Windows 10 and they're very good about automatic. In fact, it's hard to opt out. They make it so that you really can't opt out of getting updates in Windows 10. You can delay them, but you can't opt out forever. It's like Windows 7. Windows 7, you can't opt out of it, and so if you don't have automatic updates turned on, then you'll have to manually go and run Windows Update to get those patches. So,
okay, I have one more question, Tom.
Okay.
When it comes to updates like that, we hear about updates all the time, and I think every time you go into a system, the operating system, and do an update, it's like a patch here and a patch there. Doesn't it take longer for it to upload so that you can use the system because of all these patches that they have to go through? Or
it can, yes.
And it's like rebooting a reboot of a reboot.
Well, it's when you install patches, there is a certain amount of time it requires to install the patch. So if you have automatic updates turned on and your computer is left on, most of the time it's 3 o'clock in the morning, it'll actually go and install the patch and reboot your computer for you. They'll do that automatically for you. So,
but that isn't what I was saying. What I'm saying is, when there are all the patches that take place over a period of a time, with, I'm going to say like Windows 10, for example, when they do all those patches, they're doing them all the time.
Yep.
And I understand the programming aspect of it because it's a kind of a convoluted snaking through the program to do all those patches, which I think is, in my mind, that's the way I operate. Wouldn't it take longer for it to, when you shut the system down and when you turn it back on again, all those patches have been done, doesn't it take it longer for the system to come up?
Potentially.
Okay.
So, and we saw this in Windows XP.
Okay.
So when Windows XP first came out, it would run fairly well on the processors of the day. By the time it was to the point where Windows 7 came out and everybody was retiring Windows XP, if you had an older system where XP ran fine, it was slow as molasses. And part of that was because as they patch securities and they put things in there to patch securities, it actually used more CPU cycles to do the same task, which slows it down. So yes, that is a definite possibility that as they patch it, it can slow down the system over time.
Okay.
And that's just a normal evolution of operating systems. I'm guessing that Microsoft is working pretty hard at optimizing the operating system. And when they do patches, like they probably rewriting pieces of it to make it more secure, but also taking out the things that don't need to be executed. And so you end up with a system that's about the same speed.
Okay.
And then, so just as a preliminary, systems that have been patched with the Meltdown and the Spectre patches from Microsoft have not really seen, in real world, have not really seen big performance hits.
Okay.
However, there's evidence that servers that do a different mix of execution are seeing significant slowdowns. So, I mean, there's definitely effects. So I think the good news is if you are using your computer to browse the web, edit documents, basically office work and not server work, you're probably not going to see a big reduction in performance. However, if you have servers, depending on what the server does, you might see a significant reduction in performance. doing the same task. So,
Okay.
okay,
All right. That one's put to bed now.
that one's put together.
So let's do a little fun one before we go to a break. And
We'll start this one because this one
okay.
is
Oh, righty.
woof, woof, woof,
So cryptocurrency has gone to the dogs.
woof. I got to bark a little bit about this one.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this one is actually. I'm going to say it's a warning for people that are investing in cryptocurrencies, like like you invest in money.
Like Bitcoin?
Well, no,
Is
like
that
like
Bitcoin's something different?
Like Bitcoin.
Okay.
So this is a digital money
Okay.
like Bitcoin. Okay. And it was actually created as a joke, but just to show you how crazy
The world is. Mhm.
well, how crazy people are investing. This was created kind of as a joke currency and something that you could actually put money in and transfer it to
So like
to kind of give away, right?
Like Monopoly money.
To donate to people and give away, and when they created it, it's kind of like a friendly puppy. That's
Okay.
why and it's actually named after the Shiba Inu dog. Mimi, that took off in 2013. So that that picture of that cute little doggy.
So this isn't very old, and you know what? We've got to go to a break already. I can hardly believe this. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about this.
We're gonna go back
currency.
to the dogs.
Yes,
into the money kennels.
So don't go away.
You're listening to Tech Talk Colorado. To send us a question or comment, leave a message at our Facebook page, Tech Talk Colorado, or send an email to tclark@elkcreekcomputers.com. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Rena, what's wrong?
We have new employees coming next week, and we need Word and Excel and Outlook and PowerPoint and Access. And I don't know if I should purchase 5 Office licenses or an Office 365 subscription.
Well, the licenses would cost $19.95, but a subscription for 5 years to Office 365 will cost $4.95. This is a huge cost savings. Plus, with the subscription, you get free updates and 1 terabyte of OneDrive storage.
Well, you know what? This sounds like the way to go. So let's get Office 365 ordered today.
To start your own subscription of Office 365, call Tom or Rena at Elk Creek Computers and let them walk you through the convenient subscription process and save time and money. Call them now at 719-576-4122. That's 719-576-4122.
It gives clarity to problem solving. It increases production and focus on the job. It alleviates sleepless and restless nights and fends off stress and tension headaches. No, it's not the latest energy drink or health supplement. It's Legal Shield. Get peace of mind every day, every night, now and forever. Legal Shield. Get it?
To find out more about Legal Shield and how it can protect your family and your business, call Andrea at area code 719-243-3174. That's area code 719-243-3174. Legal Shield. This is the Internet Broadcasting Network at ibnetwork.us.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Tom and Rena Clark.
Yeah, I was just flirting with my wife.
Oh, Tom, get over it. But
if that's okay with you, listeners.
Yes, this is Tech Talk Colorado, sponsored by Elk Creek Computers. And we've had a really interesting show today, and you've missed almost all of it except for the last bit, but you really need to go back and listen to it. And it has to do with the critical flaws in the meltdown and their Spectre.
Yep.
But it all is around the KPTI Intel chip and the flaw that is really there, and it's been there for years.
Yep.
And the patches that are going on with it. And no, you don't need to replace that chip, because if you do,
well, you can't.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't. That's
Yes.
the bottom line.
Yes. And even if you could,
you'd
still be putting back the same problem that exists there. So you're going to want to go back and listen to that. And the way to do that is to go to the ibnetwork.com and listen to our show.
ibnetwork.us.
US, I'm sorry. My mind is in the com and I need to be US. So it's the ibnetwork.us. Or
at 11 a.m. or 5 p.m.
Yep. And then you can also go to our website at www.techtalkcolorado.com.
Yep.
And we also have a Facebook page at Tech Talk Colorado.
Yep.
Please go in and like that and share it with your friends and let them know that, we have all this information for people.
Yep.
We'd like you to be the go-to people when it comes to technology and trying to figure out what is really going on out there. So with that being said, what is this about the cryptocurrency going to the dogs, Tom?
Yes. When I saw that, I knew I had to talk about this because, well, there's a lot of people that are investing in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin,
right?
Because the value of Bitcoin is incredibly high per Bitcoin. I mean, it started out as pennies, and now it's thousands of dollars.
Yep.
And I just wanted to put this in for two things. I wanted to talk about Doggy Coin. That's why we're going to the dogs.
Does it have a dog face on it?
It does, yes.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, you can see the picture.
Oh, interesting.
And I might actually put this article,
I think that would be a good idea.
Onto techtalkcolorado.com in the Facebook page. I saw this and I said, yeah, we got to talk about this one. So this Doggy Coin was actually kind of set up as a joke, right? And kind of as a way that you could...
Just kind of, it was.
Yeah, well, and the idea was, here's a digital currency that you could use, and it's really cheap, and you can, give away, like 1,000 Bitcoins to anybody, and it costs you like, a couple bucks, right? Okay. And you can use it to donate to companies that accept it, and, things like that.
So you can actually Google...
you could go to Doggy Coin, that's DOGECOIN,
and then buy these coins,
and you can download the digital wallet, and you can buy and trade. So they're actually it's actual digital coin, blockchain coin.
Do you get to pick what color your wallet is?
No, I don't think so.
Well, if it's a joke, you should.
Yeah, and then maybe they need to add that. But what I really wanted to talk about was, here's this Bitcoin that was kind of made as a joke. It now has a $2 billion market cap. So if you look at all the coins in it, right, and the price per coin, it's got $2 billion.
And who set that?
It's basically based on the trading price of the coin, right, and the number of coins.
Okay.
So
this sounds like a game to me.
It was so the Doggy Coin was trading at around, I love this, $0.0021 at the beginning of December. So basically 0.21 cents, less than a penny.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about penny stocks.
But some
it kind of got, and now it's kind of got
stocks.
dragged into this mania over Bitcoin, over digital coin. And
Tom, we could make a cat coin.
It's now 1.8 cents per coin.
Oh.
Which was a 757% increase in less than a month.
Tom, I think we should make cat coins.
Can I torture the cat?
Did you hear that pause? We could become rich.
I don't know if we want to do that.
There's a lot of women that like cats. They might even buy into it.
Yeah. And this was actually created as kind of a joke.
Okay.
And like I said, it's they were kind of setting it up as a way to donate money and just as something to do for fun. You could put money into it, and you'll buy a lot of Bitcoin for very little U.S. dollars,
right?
And then you could give away those Bitcoins. You could actually places where you can get free Bitcoin,
right? I'm sorry, Tom, but we could call them ginger coins.
God.
My mind's racing with this one. I'm sorry. I had a cup of coffee, so my mind is like running like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. So it just kind of shows you, the speculating
People
in Bitcoin speculating in Bitcoin is probably not for the faint of heart. Because, like I say, this doggy coin, really not a serious Bitcoin, has a $2 billion market cap. And it's ridiculous, really. When you think about it, it's ridiculous. I mean,
not to the person that it came up with it.
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing with this one. So
and the guys that came up with it, it was a joke, and they basically gave away all their Bitcoin. They don't have any. It's not like they're making money off of this. And so I'm just looking at this. I'm just looking at this and going like, the serious part of this is, don't go borrow money to invest in Bitcoin. You might lose it all, and then you got to pay the debt off.
Oh, man.
This is so speculative. Speculating in Bitcoin is so speculative, and there's no history. And frankly, the value of a Bitcoin is determined by what our perception is of the value of a Bitcoin.
Right.
It's worse than the stock market.
Oh, man.
At least the stock market, when you have a company, they actually have assets, and knowledge and patents and they're bringing revenue and they're making money that it actually has real value. Bitcoin has no value other than the value that we determine it has.
And everything you hear and see on the internet is true.
Yeah, well,
that kind of falls into that category too. I think a little bit.
I think because I think if you want to throw some money at a Bitcoin and hope that it increases, go for it. Just don't if you're planning on retiring on it. There's a lot safer, better investments.
I think that you
could
be
very careful when you invest in Bitcoin.
I think that you can make more money on planting a field of corn and selling the ears of corn than you would on these.
Yeah, and so
and we could call it Bitcoin.
Yeah, and there's a huge bubble. I think we're in a huge bubble for Bitcoin.
Okay,
and if that bubble bursts, there's going to be a lot of people that are
going to be mad.
They're going to be mad, and they're going to lose a lot of money. Like the stock market burst bubble burst in 2000.
Right.
So be very careful investing in Bitcoin. Only invest money that you can afford to lose. And pretty much all the things that you do when you have highly speculative kinds of investments.
Right.
Don't borrow money. Watch it every day. If it drops by 5%, pull out. More than 5%, I'd recommend pulling out. Just set some rules and guidelines for yourself on how you want to invest in it, and follow those rules no matter what.
Right.
So if you do that, then if you follow those criteria, I'd say have fun, but be prepared to lose everything. Well,
I think I'll keep my Abraham Lincolns and my Jeffersons and my
yeah. So sometimes it's better to have your money as little digital figures in a bank than at least it's based on a U.S. dollar.
My Abraham Lincoln pennies.
Yep. See what's next on the list here.
Well, we have talked a lot about Amazon's Echo.
Yep.
The Alexa device, and it is a life-changing experience for those that are blind.
Yeah.
Because it gives them the ability to really see things in the digital world without actually seeing because of...
if you think about it, especially in the digital world, if you're blind, it's a real challenge for you to be able to navigate with a computer. You have to have a special screen. You have to have a special, I'm going to call it blind person display that will do the whatever the name of that is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that does the
teletype or whatever.
Yeah,
that is.
the alphabet.
Yes.
Right. So so that they can read. So you can actually read off.
Oh,
of it.
You mean Braille?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can have Braille, or it has to read. You have to read the screen to you, and of course you end up reading the whole screen until you get to what you want, and that can take a long time. If what you want is at the bottom of the screen, it could go a long time to read through the screen. And so these Amazon Echoes, the ability to be able to say, Alexa, what's the weather? Alexa, play my my classical music playlist. Alexa, let's play a word game.
So for any of those that are hearing this and their Amazon Echo device, we're sorry that she's coming on and trying to spout this information for you, because I know when we've got the TV on and our Alexa device is in that family room and she comes on and
sometimes she hears what she thinks is Alexa.
Yeah. It's kind of comical, actually.
Yeah.
But you know what I really enjoyed about this? Because this morning I used it even before I opened my eyes, because I woke up and I'm going, oh, Lord, what time is it? So I just said, Alexa, what time is it? And she told me it was 7:12. And I go, like this, because I had slept in and somebody I didn't know they had already gotten up. So I was late today. So you could have. I know. I could set my own thing. You could set your own alarm. I know. My alarm is you, Tom.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do on Sunday morning when I have to get up early. I tell it, because I have to get up at 5:30 to be at church by 7.
And you don't want to reset your regular alarm.
And I don't want to reset my regular alarm, so I just set it. So, and of course, you can read books. If you have an Audible account, if you got an Amazon Prime account, you get access to all this music. If you have an Audible account, you can read your digital books.
Or you want to be humored.
You listen to podcasts on TuneIn through your Amazon
Jokes.
Echo. So
learn a new language.
Yeah, you can learn a new language.
Yeah,
there's so many things that you can do, and 25,000 different tasks that it can do, that it's a really boon for anybody who's blind. So if you know anybody that's blind and they don't have one of this, you can get one. You can get them for like a FE Genie for $30. Buy them one and help them set it up, and it will change their life. I swear to God.
And with that, Tom, we're at the end of our show, and we always have lots to share with you. So come back next week.
You have been listening to Tech Talk Colorado with Tom and Rena Clark. Be sure to listen in every Thursday at 11 a.m. and again at 5 p.m. right here on the IB Network at ibnetwork.us.